Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and this is actually one show past our regular spring season. We just had too much to fit in spring, so we added a time slot today, and then we won't be on the air probably till October, though it is possible we'll pick up a date on and off over the summer. My guest today is Kristen Rowe, and she's an
associate artist.
Thank you, associate artist with Flock Theatre, which has a long history in New London. And we're going to talk about what Flock Theatre has done this year, and especially about upcoming events, so that you all know about them and don't miss them. So welcome, Kristen.
Thank you.
Maybe you can start out by just giving a little bit of background about Flock Theatre.
Yeah. We started doing shows in the Connecticut College Arboretum. I want to say this is our 25th year.
Wow.
Mostly doing Shakespeare, a couple shows a season, usually 3, and also would do a Greek tragedy in there as well. Just been branching out. It started as a bread and puppet theater up in Massachusetts, I believe, and then Darren brought it down here to New London, and it's just been growing since then, and just looking to keep on growing.
Well, yeah, it's become quite the New London institution.
Yes.
But it is a nonprofit organization as well. So what's its mission? It's a little more than just putting on plays.
Yes, to get theater and arts out to the community through our shows. Also, we do a lot with the education system, the Hot Schools program, and just trying to get the theater out to those who can't necessarily go out and see a show. We're trying to get more children involved in local theater and the arts, and just in general trying to get theater out to everyone, and the culture, and bring it back to the area.
And this area is really actually pretty amazing.
Yes.
I've visited much bigger cities in other parts of the country, and it seems so boring.
Yes.
And then here, you almost have to clone yourself to keep from
to do
missing
everything.
things.
Yes.
So how long have you been involved with Flock Theatre?
I have been with Flock itself for 17 years now. But I've worked with Darren for 23. I started out at Make We Joy at Connecticut College, which we now have transferred over to Mitchell College as of last year. And I love it. Stage managing mostly. I've been in a couple shows, and now I've been, for the last couple of years, been an associate artist helping to run Flock Theatre and keep it going and getting more people involved and getting the word out for people to support us in any way they can.
Now, you mentioned Make We Joy,
Yes.
and that also has a very long tradition in New London.
It's over 30 years.
So maybe you can say a little bit about Make We Joy.
Make We Joy started at Connecticut College in the 80s. It was staff members and some students who put the program together. It's a celebration of the winter solstice through dance, song, play, mummers plays. It's an all-out fun time. And we try to get as much of the community involved. And we've tried to also start bringing it out. It's not just based on like Christianity, it's different things. And it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Kind of
solstice, yeah. It's a celebration of the solstice.
Everything.
And it involves everything. And it's based a lot on many years ago when they'd go into the kingdoms or whatever and just put on a show for the king and queen. That's what we do our mother and father solstice based off of. And for many years, we would actually nominate somebody else in the cast or community to be mother and father solstice. But more recently, we've just stuck with, one person doing father solstice, and just to keep the tradition going until maybe we grow more or have more people involved. And always looking for people to get involved with that as well as any of our other shows.
Now it's shifted a little bit over the last year or two.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're now at Mitchell College versus doing it at Connecticut College. Flock Theatre took over last year 100% of doing Make We Joy. And we were able to collaborate with Mitchell College to use their space. They donated it to us so that we could put the show on, because the year before we were not able to due to construction at Connecticut College. And many people had reached out to us saying that they really missed the show. Many people have come for, generations of families have come to the show and just enjoy it every year. And it's just all out fun celebration. And, we have the solstice fire where you can put a wish in and let it go up to heaven or to, your loved ones that have passed or whatever you want it to do.
Well, I think also winter solstice, it's like cold outside.
Yes, it's the dark time, yep.
It's like people are just looking for things to do
yes.
that are uplifting and cheerful and bright.
Yes, we make sure to do that with all the celebrations, the decoration, everything involved in the show there are some things involved about the darkness of winter and that time of year, but we also try to make it fun. We've got a mummers play that someone writes every year and puts on. And we do dancing, we do singing, we have the children's choir, the St. Nicholas Songsters is what they're called, and they sing songs, they practice for like the month of October, November, and they love it. They get to do their own little skits and songs and stuff, and it's just an amazing time, and it's great to be involved with the community. I mean, I've watched some kids grow up as well as myself through the years of doing the show, and I'll see them out in public, they'll come running up to me. When are we doing Make Me Joy again?
And maybe in like 15 years or 20 years, they'll be involved with Flock Theater in some other capacities.
That would be wonderful to have more people involved.
Now, looking at the website, Flock Theater has a really busy schedule. So I thought maybe we could just start, and I know it might be frustrating for viewers to hear about the things you might have missed that happened earlier this year, but just to give an idea of the breadth of activities and shows you have, I think maybe we can talk a little bit about what you did earlier this year, and then we can talk about what's coming up.
Yes, we did Arsenic and Old Lace in February. That was based at the Shaw Mansion, and it's based on the story of, I'm going to get her name wrong, but a woman who lived in northern Connecticut who would bring in boarders and she would poison them to get their Social Security checks, basically. And it's a story of the play is based on that, but it's two sisters who would do that, and then they would use their nephew who was a little mentally handicapped to bury the bodies and because he pretended he was Teddy Roosevelt. That's who he thought he was.
Okay.
And he would bury the bodies in the basement, and their other nephew caught on, and the police got involved but didn't believe him because they thought they were all crazy. And it was a good show, and it's nice to be able to involve history of Connecticut in our shows.
Now, what is it like to put something on in the Shaw Mansion? It's not a typical theatrical space by any means.
It's definitely an intimate place. Can't have very large audiences like we could at the Arboretum. The shows that we do there are usually based on something that would be like in a home or something like that, so that we can use that parlor space to make it feel like you're in the person's home. And the audience is nice and close so that they feel that they're involved almost in the show.
So really you have a set just kind of made to order.
Exactly.
If it's the right show.
Yes.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. We also did Romeo and Juliet at St. Mary's Church, and we just actually did a performance of it this past Saturday at the Mystic Seaport.
Now when you do it at St. Mary's Church, where do you do it? Is it in the auditorium or in the church itself?
In the auditorium downstairs. That's where we also put on our annual Halloween show of Macbeth, and they do performances for schools down there for both Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth every year. Upwards of 300 students from local schools come and watch the show. I believe they also took one of the shows of Macbeth to Waterford High School last year, and I know they took it up to Hampton, to one of their schools. So we're trying to get the kids involved and open it up for children who wouldn't normally be able to go out to the theater.
Now, what age child does Macbeth start to be appropriate for?
I think we're doing like 5th, 6th, 7th graders.
Yeah, like middle school.
Yeah, like
and
middle
up.
school age. I probably wouldn't do too young because the witches and stuff might scare them.
And the murder and the mayhem.
Yeah, they might not fully understand the murder and mayhem, but yeah.
But yeah, I wondered also if that kind of exposure just helps later on in studies. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't think I read Macbeth or knew anything about it until I was maybe a junior or senior in high school.
Same here. My senior year of high school is when I read Macbeth. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the schools are cutting the programs and not doing theater type stuff or any arts, and it's nice to be able to get them. And with New London being a underprivileged city, that it's nice to be able to expose these children who would never have the opportunity.
Well, one thing that's really great in New London is, although it's not a wealthy city in terms of like people's income,
Yeah.
the level of culture here, partly the architecture, like having
Yeah.
buildings like the Shaw Mansion
Yes.
that are open to the public, or having a lot of artists, a lot of
Yeah,
theater
theater
groups. So it's got a really rich culture.
Yes, definitely there is a rich culture, and unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people don't get out there and experience it, and it would be nice to see more and more local people involved in our culture and learning about the area, not just through arts, but any other program.
Now, you also did Romeo and Juliet this year?
Yeah, we just did Romeo and Juliet.
Now, is that an Arboretum?
No, we
one
did
or
that one
not?
at St. Mary's. We just did Edward III, which was recently attributed to Shakespeare. We did that down at the Arboretum, and we also did a performance of it at the Connecticut River Museum in Essex. And that's actually the start of our Band of Brothers program that we're trying to do. We're going to do, I think it's over the next 5 years, do one history play each year and try to get more, not just the community, but mostly veterans involved in the show, whether it be acting, backstage, just to attend. You know, hear their opinions since they've been through wars and things, and just
I'm
get
guessing
them.
that a lot of Shakespeare would fit in with that.
Yes.
So if you did Edward III this year, have you given any thought to what the next one on the docket might be?
I'm not 100% sure what next year's will be, but I know Richard III's one of them. I believe one of the Henrys is another show. I don't know what order they're planning on doing them in.
Yeah, it will be different ones every year.
Every year, yes.
So have you had involvement this past year with vet groups, or is it just kind of starting out?
This was our first year. We had a few veterans. We sent out letters to a bunch of the different veterans groups and the VAs and the VFWs and stuff to reach out to them. We did get a few people that did come and attend, and hope to every year keep it going
and growing.
Yep.
So that's now, was there anything else you did that people have missed in the first half of the year?
The first half of the year, that's all we've done. We did get two awards this year, though. We got the Clifford Stone Award from New London Landmarks for historic preservation through our plays, such as Holly and Ivy that we did last winter.
Tell us more about Holly and Ivy.
It is a play that was written based on history over several different years. That we did a tour starting at New London Landmarks, went to Hempstead House, Shaw Mansion, the Maritime Museum, and the Hygienic Arts, and it showed different eras of Christmas in New London. And it was a whole tour. You got to see the whole thing. They had the leader was Frost, and he would tell different things. He or she would tell different stories about the area, and just getting people involved in learning the history of the area and the different traditions that you never would have known about unless you were into that type of stuff.
That's pretty amazing. I think it might be a first that the Clifford Stone Award didn't go to like the restoration, literal
of a building. Yes, we were the first theater group to get it ever, and then we also got first place of theater groups in the Reader's Choice Awards in the day this year, which was amazing for us.
Fantastic.
And we loved the support from everyone, and that everyone reached out and actually voted for us as being the top theater group. It was a wonderful award to get.
Now, is Holly and Ivy predicted to become an annual thing?
I believe so. It had been for a while, and then due to some changes within the group, they weren't able to because of it was a lot of times run at the same time as Make We Joy. So now we've been able to do it different weekends so that it's not the same time. So it'll allow us to hopefully continue doing it every year because we definitely had a lot of people enjoy it last year.
Well, just the concept of it, because it does take advantage of, the architecture that New London has that, Benedict Arnold didn't quite burn it all down.
Exactly.
So talking about Benedict Arnold, I'm not sure, is that the next thing going on? Or
the next thing is Taming of the Shrew.
Okay, we'll get to Benedict in a little while.
We're doing Taming of the Shrew July 21st through 24th and the 28th through the 31st at the Arboretum. And then there are 2 shows where we are going to the Seaport and to the Connecticut River Museum in August. And that show is gearing up to be a wonderful show. It's based on 2 sisters who basically fight it out. The older sister is Kate is the shrew. She doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to do anything. Her younger sister Bianca does, but the father says unless the older sister does, he's not going to approve of her getting married. So all the suitors for Bianca try to find someone to marry Kate, and it's just about the story of that, and then them actually taming her and getting her to, at the time, listen to what her husband said and obey, because that's what women did in that time frame.
Well, how do you determine the right mix of tragedy and comedy?
We try to do one of each year, just to separate it. We used to do, before, we'd do a tragedy, a comedy, and then a Greek tragedy, usually. Okay. So, or we do 2 comedies and the Greek tragedy. So I'm not really sure how they pick which shows each year, because Darren and Victor are usually the ones who pick the shows. But they definitely keep a even balance between the 2.
Yeah, even though some of Shakespeare's comedies are a little heavy, also, it just seems fascinating that, the balance is there, that, have Romeo and Juliet and Edward III, which are
very heavy tragedy, and then Taming the Shrew, which is more comic, and it's...
So, with the Taming of the Shrew in the Arboretum, what's the Arboretum experience like for anyone who's watched who's never been there?
Well, you'll want to bring a chair or a blanket to sit on. Feel free, if you come to the Arboretum, to bring a picnic. We welcome picnics. You can bring your own wine, beer, drinks, whatever. We do usually have some snacks and drinks on sale down there. Bring your bug spray, because the bugs do come out. But it's a great experience. It's an open field. We've actually started doing more intimate, having the seating starting up on the area that we used as the stage. We've kind of pushed it back a little bit so that we can start seating people there, and then, you can fit hundreds of people down there. It's a great experience. The beauty of the Arboretum itself is wonderful, and it just fits in with a lot of the shows. And then, the show itself is staged and around the 2 arbors that are down there, and we've got lights and stuff set up so that people can see.
Now, is it complicated to figure out sets for the areas that the natural environment doesn't work well for, or are the plays
usually
chosen?
Most of the plays we're able to do based on what we have available there. We have done in the past, I remember the first year I was there, we had a small set for Romeo and Juliet, but every year since then, and especially since they put the arbors in, because we can kind of use those almost as a set.
Yeah.
So, because we'll hang curtains on them, and then you can play around, and we've had people up on top of them to surprise people and different things like that. So we make it work with nature. We try to do the least amount of stuff to make the show work.
So it really is a different experience to watch than if you go to an indoor theater where actually the outdoor scenes are
fake and
fake trees.
Exactly, it is. It's definitely a different experience. There's no, like I said, there's no real set. It's outdoors, so you're gonna get the noises of everything else. But a lot of times it works. You know, you'll have a night scene and you hear the frogs in the pond or something like that. It's just...
Now, do you find that everything has to be on kind of a broader scale? I know Flock Theater uses like masks and puppets and
yeah,
things.
we do masks, we do puppets. We're not afraid to try anything, honestly. We've done all kinds of different things out there. Some things you have to make it a little bit bigger for out there just because the space. I mean, especially if you were to get a huge audience down there and you've got people all the way back because it's, as we call it, the size of a football field almost out there.
It is.
And, you know, definitely different than indoors because you've got to be louder. Even though we have microphones and speakers and stuff, you've just got to show your actions bigger too. To be able for everyone to be able to see what's going on and hear and everything. It's definitely experience.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, kind of a larger than life experience as opposed to something like the Arsenic and Old Lace that's in such an intimate setting.
Yeah. There's definitely big difference between the two.
So when did you say that that's starting?
July 21st, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the following, the 28th through the 31st. And then there's 2 dates in August that we're doing the Connecticut River Museum and Mystic Seaport.
Okay, so that takes care of really the rest of the summer.
Yes.
So then September, because it seems like every month practically you have something, there's an annual Benedict Arnold
Yes, this
program.
is the 4th annual year of the Burning of Benedict Arnold, which we created 4 years ago and had a show written actually for it for the 2nd year, where we use the history of Benedict Arnold coming into town and burning most of it to the ground. And it was a tradition back in the 1700s and 1800s, and I think even into the early 1900s, where they would burn an effigy. But it was actually of Guy Fawkes when they first started coming because of the English people had come over. So after they became their own country, they're like, we have to pick somebody else. Yeah. So they decided Benedict Arnold because he was a traitor and burned his town, his hometowns down. It was very interesting because we learned a lot about the area that a lot of us did not know. I mean, I never learned about Benedict Arnold in school. All I ever knew was he was a traitor. And I didn't know he lived in Norwich. You know, grew up around here and worked in the areas. And I mean, the Shaw Mansion was one of the houses that was lit on fire, and a neighbor poured vinegar on it to put the fire out.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have a Shaw Mansion
Exactly.
today.
And, you know, many of these buildings are old, but they're not the original buildings in town because most of it was burned down to the ground. And we use a puppet effigy that we actually parade from Shaw Mansion down to the pier in New London and actually light them on fire while we have mustache fusiliers dancing around and just having a good old time and just, you know, getting people out there to learn about the different things. Like I said, the history of this area is so unique and you can do so much with it, and to be able to include the art, through art, to teach people is just amazing.
The history is amazing. I grew up in Philadelphia, which has a lot of history also. But even so, when I moved to New England, it's like, wow, I was kind of impressed.
Yeah.
It was like Benedict Arnold was here.
Yeah.
You know, this is where he burned. You know, Fort Griswold was, you know, where
many people died. And,
yeah. So it really was amazing because some things happened in Philadelphia in the Revolutionary times, but there was more action in New England.
Yes, definitely.
So it's really amazing. So that's a one-time thing.
Yes, we don't have a date yet, but it will be in September. So yeah, we have the event where we usually have something set up at the Shaw Mansion and the Hempstead House outdoors, doing like a little play at the two areas, two separate things, and then we usually have some vendors and stuff that come down, and then we do a parade with the effigy down Bank Street out to the pier and light them on fire.
Okay, so with the date, I'm sure.
Yes, the date will be on our website, and I'm sure we'll be sharing it all over Facebook as well. And
And I guess it's not too early to tell people there is a website at Flock Theater, that's ending RE,
Yep.
.org.
Yes.
And so there is a pretty up-to-date list of upcoming events.
Yes, and you can also check out Flock Theater's Facebook page because there's usually a lot of updates on there as well. And if you have any questions, you can email flocktheater@hotmail.com to ask questions or give them a call at any time. Their phone number is on the website. Unfortunately, I don't know it off the top of my head right now.
Okay, people will just have to look it up. So we've gotten to September.
Yes.
Then October.
Well, either in September or October, we'll be doing Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night, which we are hoping to do at the Monte Cristo Cottage.
Oh, that would be so great.
Yes, and especially with everything that's going on, there has been articles in the paper about it. The relationship between the epidemic with overdoses in the area and the relationship to the show are just amazing because the mother of the character, which was based off of Eugene O'Neill's real life, was addicted to morphine because that was what they used as pain medication then. And it's just the whole story of their family basically and what they went through and different aspects of it. And it's amazing to see the relationship between that and what's going on now.
Yeah, so it seems like it should be really pertinent to people.
Yes, definitely. But once we do have dates and exact location, that will also be on our website.
Well, I'll be kind of hoping that the Monte Cristo Cottage works out.
Yes, we all are.
Because it's a small space, but I can imagine it could be a great space. And
especially with it being his home and everything.
And if it's a foggy night, you might just hear the foghorns
just
randomly working in the middle there.
Yes.
So now, have you ever done Eugene O'Neill play before?
This is our first one, actually, that I'm aware of. So we're trying to branch out, doing different shows involving local artists and even ones who are not. We're doing the Arsenic and Old Lace earlier this year. We did Dangerous Liaisons last year. We're just trying to branch out, doing different shows, and this one just is one that we've wanted to do for a long time, and it just seems like the right time now to go forward.
Yeah, and it isn't that it hasn't been done before.
Exactly.
But every time
it's different.
It's very different.
Every theater, even every performance within a theater can be different.
And really, you can't get better for local relevance.
Exactly. Than Eugene O'Neill.
Yeah. Even though we hated New London, right?
Yep.
Now, you also have an annual Macbeth show.
Yes. Every year we do Macbeth at St. Mary's Church as well, usually around the Halloween weekend. And I think this is the 12th or 13th year of doing it. Might be longer than that, actually. I'm not 100%. I know we've been doing it for quite a while, though. And that's another show that we also bring the school-age kids to and get them involved. And it's just a wonderful experience opening up people to a show that is well known. More people come out to see shows like Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet because they're known.
Right.
Than the obscure ones like when we did Cymbeline and Edward III and that. It's not as well known, and more people are, and it's nice to get that out to the kids, to be able to teach them.
And we were talking before the show about how students are coming from middle school age.
Yes.
And that exposure to Shakespeare, at age 11 is so much earlier. I think I must have read something like Merchant of Venice in ninth grade, but I hadn't heard that language at all before I was 15.
Exactly. We're trying to reach the kids, and especially with the schools making cuts due to the state budget cuts to the schools, arts are one of the first programs to go. And it's nice to be able to involve them, whether it just be them watching. And some kids have mentioned after seeing a show that they'd love to get involved when they're a little older, or even some younger. I mean, we've had some kids come out to audition for shows, and we're open to that. Getting more younger people involved in the shows. We're constantly evolving and changing with what we do, And Macbeth just is one of those shows that it's perfect for Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
Because of the basis of the show. And
yeah, and honestly, from a very young age nowadays, and I'm not sure this is a good thing, but it is reality, that a lot of what kids see on the screen is very violent.
Exactly.
Is very intense. So Macbeth, it's not shocking, really, but it's not going different to traumatize them.
Exactly. So you can, I wouldn't suggest bringing your 5-year-old to see Macbeth, but
not if you want to sleep for the next week.
Exactly.
But yeah, a 12-year-old would be pretty accustomed to that level of intensity. I think.
Yeah,
and,
I would think so too.
To watch something that's hundreds of years old and yet the theme is maybe not that different from what they're seeing on in movies
even
now.
With any of the Shakespeare shows, the themes are just things that continue as life goes on, just in different ways.
Now, as we're talking about students, Flock Theater, aside from its performances, does a lot of work with students in different ways. So can you talk a little bit about the different ways?
They do a lot of residencies in different schools throughout the state where they'll use theater different ways, like puppetry. They'll have kids help writing short plays and putting them on. They just recently did a shadow puppet play. I believe it was at Benny Dover or Nathan Hale. I can't remember which one, but it was one of the two. Darren and Victor run all of that during the day. And the stories I hear about it, the kids love it. And it's helped, especially in this area, expose kids to things and teach them different ways to learn. Especially because schools are now with the no Child Left Behind laws that they focus on testing instead of
and that narrows the curriculum really to like math and literacy and maybe social studies, but a lot of the art is being squeezed out, which is very sad on many levels.
Yes, because you need things like art and music and theater and stuff like that in schools to help round out the kids and expose them to different things.
Not to mention the different learning styles that they have, that some might really thrive with a very academic approach, but probably not the majority.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody learns differently, and some kids might learn a lot more by learning something through theater or learning how to make puppets or putting on a play, different aspects of things. I mean, kids learn so many different ways, and you can't just bunch them all into one group and say, okay, this is what you're going to learn, this is how you're going to learn it, because not everyone learns the same way. And it's nice to be able to use our skills and expertise to teach these kids different ways to learn and get them interested in, the different arts.
Now, Darren and I think Victor as well have been involved in the Hot School program for quite a few years.
Darren has been for a long time.
So maybe talk a little bit about how that works.
I'm not 100% sure with the Hot Schools. I know he does a lot of stuff throughout the state with helping design programs, even where they're not involved necessarily in the school, but for schools to teach different things within their programs.
And use the arts.
And use the arts. And I know a few years ago with you as well, we did the Riverside Park program. And, got the kids involved that way.
That's right.
And
with New London Landmarks had that grant.
Yes.
And you and actually I think it was all the hot
Lana,
teachers.
Mark, and Roger, and Darren all did different programs with the kids, teaching them different things, theater.
That was fantastic.
It was.
Really
I wish
that.
we could do that again, honestly. It was so much fun. And, the kids loved it. They learned a lot. They wanted to come back every week for the program. And it would be great to see that in the schools again. And
the that funding came from the state, but as you're talking, I'm thinking, there could be grants to be written for this kind of thing to bring.
And I would love to see stuff like that. And I
know,
do different things like that. And it doesn't even have to be at Riverside. It could be anywhere. I mean, pick a spot where there's open land, and the kids will have fun. Teach them the different arts. And
I've been looking at Bates Woods also, and that's another huge open space that has a lot of different kinds of terrains. It has open fields, it has these old stone fireplaces that, there could be some interesting arts kind of programming there.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, I know Flock would love to keep doing that and, keep teaching the kids about the arts and different ways to learn.
Now, do you do things like reaching out to kids who are interested in learning acting?
They did have classes. We had taken a break from them for a while, but I know they're looking into trying to restart them so that they can, kids can get involved, especially now that we have several of us associate artists who can help with that. With just 2 people running everything, it was getting kind of hard to do everything, but now with all of us involved, we're able to start opening up more opportunities and stuff. And I know they were looking into, hopefully, in the future, starting some more classes, and not just for children, but even teens and maybe adults.
Well, I was looking at the website, and it was different from looking at the governance of most nonprofits, because you have Darren and Vic as the director people, and a board of directors, and then you have all the associate artists.
Yes.
So how are you all recruited, and what's your role in the development of the organization?
Darren had picked several of us, some that had been involved for a long time, some newer people, but that were dedicated to the theater and wanting to make it bigger, better. And we help with the back scene stuff, helping getting funding, through fundraisers or grants. We just had a gala earlier this year at the Thames Club to help do fundraising. We had a silent auction. And we help to get the word out to the community about the theater and try to bring in more people and different things. We just participated in the Groton Parade yesterday as a group, and that was a lot of fun. And I got a lot of compliments from people I knew who were there and said they loved us because we were walking through with our puppets and everything. And we've just recently added some new people, Michael Bradford from UConn, and then we have Charles.
He just got a new appointment, didn't
yes,
he?
And he's also one of our associate artists. We have Charles Traeger, who has been a playwright. He also was involved with the Eugene O'Neill. He's written several of our shows, like Holly and Ivy and the Benedict Arnold show and that stuff. And then Wendy, I believe it's Morton, from California, who Darren's done a lot of work with puppetry stuff over the years with, through the Eugene O'Neill and on their own. And we've just recruited them as well as the people that we already have involved, just to get different aspects and different things, and hope that, with their expertise involved as well, that maybe we were talking about possibly doing workshops and stuff for people to learn more.
And it seems as though the associate artists have all different kinds of experience and expertise.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
It can be a playwright, it can be a set designer, it can be a behind the scene, a grant writer.
Exactly. We all, bring in our different expertises and experiences. We all collaborate together, and just in ways to keep the theater going, and how to reach out to the community and get more people involved.
Now, Flock Theater has been around for a long time. How have things changed over the 15, 17 years that you've been involved?
Well, when we started, we were one of the few theater groups around. As I was telling you before we started, that we'd have hundreds of people come out to audition for shows. Not so much now, because there are a lot more theater groups, which is awesome. That there's several local theaters involved in the area that access and stuff. But we'd love to reach out and get more people involved with our shows, and even not just acting, but backstage, box office, whatever we need help with. And of course, getting people to come out to see more people to see our shows, and just reaching out to people is one of our goals. And when I started, we did mostly just a couple Shakespeare shows and a Greek show during the summer. We've expanded to now where we have shows all year long.
Yeah, it seems like every month there's something
Yeah.
different practically.
Yeah, because when I started, we didn't have any shows because we just had the Arboretum. Now we use St. Mary's Church. We have Shaw Mansion. Hopefully, we'll have a relationship with Monte Cristo. We've got the Connecticut River Museum.
You've done things in the Hempstead House.
Yep, Hempstead House. Up in Hampton. Now we just started a relationship with the Mystic Seaport. We just had one show there. We're going to have another one later this summer. So, we're flexible. We can work anywhere.
With all the different theater groups, does it seem like each one has to kind of stake out a turf for itself to avoid being too competitive? Or
not necessarily. A lot of them will just stay in one area. They'll have there's Groton Regional Theater. They just use their one area. They do all their shows indoors. A lot, so we're willing to go around to different areas and put on our shows to reach people. One thing that we were discussing the other day, and I've discussed it many times, is people don't like to cross the bridges. People from Groton don't want to come here. Saybrook doesn't want to come here.
It's inexplicable to me, but I know it's true.
So it's like by going to Essex, we're reaching people that we might not reach up here, and same with Mystic, and just being able to bring our shows out to people who wouldn't come to this area for whatever reason it may be.
Well, it really is interesting how, the shows that you choose, it's become so much broader over the last 10 years.
Yeah, we've definitely wanted to start branching out and getting into different aspects of theater. And, we've also been trying to involve a lot of puppetry into our shows now. And like last year when we did Macbeth, we had a lot of puppetry involved, shadow puppetry and actual puppets. And then every year we try to change something, add something, do something new, and just to keep up and keep going and get people interested.
Now, if people want to be supportive, what's the best way for them to do it? Well, no, not what's the best. What are all the different ways that people can do that?
Attend our shows. You can make donations through the Flock Theater website. There is a PayPal button on there to make donations. You can also send them to Flock Theater's address, which is also on the website, which is 10 Prospect Street in New London. But the biggest way is to support us by coming to our shows, coming to our events. Get the word out. Invite your friends, your family, coworkers, whoever, pass the word out. If you see a poster, we'll have postcards around, grab them, hand them out to a couple people.
Now, you mentioned that with so many theater companies, you don't have as many people trying out for shows as you used to. Mm-hmm. Is that a problem? I mean, should people who are like aspiring actors be
we always are looking for new actors and, like I said, backstage people, anything. So please feel free to contact us and audition for our shows when we do have the auditions, because it's always nice to be able to, we would like to be able to have multiple shows going on at the same time, but it's hard when you don't have enough cast members to do a separate cast for each show. So like just currently we had 3 shows rehearsing at the same time. So and it's been hard, because some of the cast members are in each show. So it'd be nice to be able to have more people involved and be able to put on more shows. Because if we had more people, we might even be able to do more shows during the summer. Or
now, you mentioned beforehand when we were talking that Shakespeare's plays all have 13 actors.
Yep, they only
How
require.
does that work?
There's
seem
usually
like they're
more
a cast of thousands.
Their characters are definitely usually more than 13, but the way he wrote his plays, there's never been more than 13 actors on stage at the same time. So you can use people in multiple roles. And, or like in Edward III, or even in Romeo and Juliet, where someone dies off, you can use them as another character later on in the show, or which helps, when you've got a cast of 30, a character list of 30 people, and you've got 20, you can use some of them in multiple roles.
Now, going back a little to Edward III, that you just finished, actually.
Yes.
You had mentioned that it was just recently certified as being one of Shakespeare's plays.
Yes.
How does that process work?
They did a lot of studies on it, I guess, and it's not 100% written by him, but a lot of the language in the thing are similar to all his other plays. I guess they did like a bunch of software stuff and like compared them, but they just recently attributed that he wrote a majority of the show.
Well, there's been controversy about Shakespeare for centuries, and how many of his plays he really wrote and who he was. And so it's interesting to me that they're still adding more that
they're
he
finding
at least
more and
had
more and,
influence over and a part in.
And like this year being his 450th, I think, his anniversary of his death. I mean, they're just finding more and more things out, and it's amazing. And you know, like we said before, a lot of people don't know Shakespeare, especially younger people, because they're not teaching it as much in school. I mean, even other stuff, classics and stuff. I mean, we've done like Uncle Vanya, we've done Pride and Prejudice, Little Women. A lot of kids don't read that stuff anymore. It doesn't appeal to them. So hopefully we can reach out to the younger crowd and get them involved, whether it be in the show or coming to watch them.
Now, you mentioned in the younger people, not just watching, but in the show, is there a younger age limit for people to, try out? Are there some shows that have roles for
I mean,
kids?
We've got a couple kids that are, I think, about 11 right now. One of them's been with us for a few years. We might not have speaking roles necessarily for them at that age, but we'll use them for different things like pages in the shows or messengers or different things like that to start out. And, a lot of them just pick it up and like decide to stay. A lot of our current actors even, we've had since they were 10 or 11.
So how many actors do you have altogether who are part of it?
It rotates because some people will go out to other theater groups, which we have no problem with, and do shows with them. But we do have a set of people who kind of stick with us. But also a lot of the kids are off at college and stuff, so we only get them during the summer or so.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even give you an exact number.
It is not that easy to keep track of it all.
It is not.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left,
Okay.
so I think maybe we should just review what's coming up.
Okay.
So people will have an idea of what to look forward to.
Yes.
I know you get pretty good publicity,
Yes.
but let's give people an idea month by month.
So
what
in
we'll see.
July 21st through the 31st, the weekends, we have Taming of the Shrew at the Arboretum. In September, we'll have The Burning of Benedict Arnold coming. And in the fall, we'll also be doing Long Day's Journey into Night. We have Macbeth on Halloween weekend. And then we have Make We Joy, which happens the first weekend of December.
And there's information on the website.
Yes.
Now, Make We Joy, that's a free show? Or?
Yes. Make We Joy is all done on donation.
Okay. So that's for everyone?
Yes,
and
anyone,
attended,
any age, whoever. And
because I know families with young kids, everyone shows up at that.
Yes, we have from newborns up to 100 years old coming to see that show.
Now, for the other shows, you get tickets through the website, or is there another
we have a box
means?
office at the shows. When we do shows at the Shaw Mansion, though, because of limited space, they do reservations, which you can pay through PayPal for the tickets or pay at the door. But the Arboretum, there's no limit because there's tons of space. And even at St. Mary's, we generally can fit a few hundred in there. So
you don't really have to limit it unless it's something like Holly and Ivy or...
Yeah. Or like something in the Shaw Mansion or something like that, where there's limited space.
Do you find that there's a lot of competition for spaces there?
Some shows, yes.
I know I've seen like some, everything's sold out.
Yeah, when we did Arsenic and Old Lace, we actually added in a matinee because we had sold out for every performance.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
I think we worked for to find a date that worked for you to come on I think it took about 3 months. So I'm glad we did this,
Yes.
and it's not too late. There was plenty,
Yes,
there's
plenty.
still a lot going on in the coming year.
Yes.
So thanks so much, everyone. Keep an eye on your newspaper, visit the website every so often,
And
because
Facebook page
there's
and yeah.
all kinds of things.
Yes.
And yes, like the Facebook page.
Yes, definitely. Like our Facebook page, because that is definitely updated a lot more than necessarily. I mean, the website's updated quite a bit, but for the most up to date, check out Facebook.
And it's flocktheater.org.
Yes.
So, so to all of you out there, this is our last show until October, unless we have some kind of special great thing coming up. So we will see you then, back first week in October. And thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for
and
having me.
Talking about all the different interesting stuff Flock
We're
is doing.
glad you were able to get us on. And
Yeah, me
it was
too.
a lot of fun.